Sell now before it's too late. Let's have a look. Good morning, everyone. Florian.heise here with my morning coffee. And I thought we'd have a look at this news.com.au article, which is discussing, begging homeowners to sell now before it's too late. You've got to get that FOMO, guys. You've got to get your house on the market. Those agents who are having trouble getting properties need you to sell. They need you to sell. So, homeowners urged to sell now as vendors net prices well above reserve at Sydney auctions. So if you sell now, this article is telling you, almost guaranteeing, that you'll get like double your reserve. Quick, hurry. Get in there. Get in there, guys. What do you think? Do you think we're going to see just a few plush upper quartile examples that don't speak to the masses and just show the difference in value in properties around Sydney? What do you reckon? Do you think we'll have addressed the, well, stark contrast in unit price growth across Sydney? We'll have to see, guys. Can you tell I'm a bit skeptical about this? Homeowners who've been deliberating about whether to sell have been warned that delaying could be a pricey mistake following some surprise results at weekend auctions. Okay, so in a roundabout way, they're telling us that property prices are heading down. So sellers need to get in now. So this might actually be some good advice. Homeowners are being urged to sell now or regret it later, as Sydney's housing market continues an unexpected purple patch that has been netting vendors solid prices. There were close to 300 auctions held across the city this weekend, an unusually low number for this time of year, and the lack of seller competition helped many vendors get well above their reserve. A 6-bedroom house in Randwick sold at auction Saturday for a whopping $3.2 million after attracting 5 bidders, all who submitted offers above the $3 million opening bid. It was one of 3 sales above $3 million capped off in the first half of the day. Okay, so these aren't normal houses. These aren't normal houses. So do you think people who are selling $3 million houses get all their information from news.com? Maybe they do. It doesn't take much anymore to have bought a house a couple of decades ago in Sydney, and now all of a sudden you've got millions of dollars worth in property assets. And maybe that's what they're doing. They're downsizing and they're moving up to Queensland. You're getting something nice, maybe a green change. We'll have to see. Or maybe getting that boat. Actually, I had a mate of mine. He called me up the other day. He was working from his boat. Working from his boat. The son of a bitch. Working from his boat. And, yeah, look good. Look good. I mean, that could be the future there too. It's easier when you don't have kids. Just on the boat, traveling around, decent internet connection. I'm sure you could get it most places. And if not, oh, well, then you have to take a few days off work. Actually, that's sounding really good, guys. Let me know, what do you think? Do you think I should take HeiseSays on the road and just go on boat? The Randwick house on Friedrich Street sold for $170,000 above the vendor's reserve. Selling agent Nick Wise of McGrath Coogee said more than 70 groups of keen buyers had inspected the property, which was unusually large for the area. Well, it's something to do too. We've all been locked in. We've all been so restricted. I think people... Well, this just shows you, in America, they all go crazy, on the streets. In Australia, we go crazy with our house inspections. What do you think, guys? Comparable properties were selling for the same price in February before the crisis began, Mr. Wise said. People keep saying the market is going to crash, but it never does, he says. The other $3 million sales include a house in Drymon, sold for $3.5, and Surrey Hills Terrace sold under the hammer for $3 and change. CoreLogic data showed the Sydney auction clearance rates were 65% last week, level with the long-term market trend. Weekend clearance rates have been consistently above 60% since on-site auctions were allowed to resume 4 weeks ago. The market is very strong at the moment, Mr. Wise said. Most buyers are looking to the long term. they know properties in the area will hold their value. So they're looking at, as I said, this is exactly, it's the upper quartile, guys. It's the luxury end of the market. Now, even if they take a big hit, there's still going to be demand for them more than other areas. It's all of us that have, frankly, guys, which are houses that are not really that special. I know everyone was told at school that they were special, but you're not. when you get to terms with that. And a lot of the houses we have aren't that special either. It's the dime a dozen ones. You know, the spec homes in the suburbs, which look exactly the same like all of the others. The Randwick buyers were a family upgrading from a property in nearby Bondi Junction, and most of the other registered bidders were in similar positions, Mr. Weiss said. In the inner west, a 3-bedroom house on a corner block in Erkinsville sold for $1.6 million after attracting the interest of 10 registered bidders. The price was $130 over the reserve, and a relief for the New York-based vendor who was alleged to be super motivated to sell. Well, what does that tell you? What does that tell you if a New Yorker wants to get out of the Sydney property market whatever they can? 8 of the registered bidders submitted offers, with auctioneer James Keenan receiving an opening bid of $1.4 million. There you go. The bidding was fast-paced, rising in initial increments of $50,000, and some bidders put in offers simultaneously. This is the thing, guys. This is what they want with the auction. They want you competing. They don't want the negotiation back and forth. They want you competing with each other. Wow. I guess for luxury, high-end stuff, sure, I understand, but for average houses, I guess it's just the Sydney and Melbourne thing, isn't it, guys? It's not as big here in Queensland. The Lambert Street property had last sold for $1.45 million in 2015, but traded for a mere $40,000 in '89, records showed. Yeah, okay. We can't go to 89 figures, guys. It's ludicrous. I mean, look at that. You bought in '89, and you sold it, what, 30 years later? Well, a bit less than 30 years later for $1.45 million. That's insane. Good investment. I think luck more than anything, to be honest. This is the thing. A lot of these property geniuses and these people that have made good money, I mean, a lot of it's luck, guys. A lot of it's luck. What does the bank think I'm up on my house from our purchase price? Like over 200%, which I don't believe in an instant. I don't believe in an instant. Let them keep thinking that. It makes my LVRs look really good. But, you know, it's my... I should probably shouldn't I spin all that? You know, how to make 200% and then do a whole, you know, a Udemy series on YouTube and all these things and then charge people to give them your advice. Isn't that what all these people do? And then make money off that? And then someone was telling me some woman who was doing this and is advertising a lot of videos, and then it all came out in the courts that she was fined and she was lying and all these things. So, yeah, I'm skeptical about all of it. And this is exactly what I thought it was. This is the upper end of the market going out there and encouraging people. And, you know, honestly, it's probably good advice. If there's going to be if you've got a property worth $3 million and you take a 5% hit or a 10% hit, that's decent coin. That's decent coin. And it may be an opportunity for people to get out of there if they want to. But if it's your forever home and you don't want the hassle of moving or any of these things, it's a different world. It's all going to be interesting to see what happens in September, October, once the JobKeeper disappears, which I'm starting to think it won't. And once the banks, you know, stop being touchy-feely, nice, and, you know, reducing our requirements to pay mortgages. Did anyone predict that? Can anyone let me know if you've heard anyone predict that, you know, someone who was a spruiker in the property a couple of years ago? The counter to all the people who were saying, oh, well, you know, there's all this interest-only loans that are about to hit principal and interest. There's this happening. There's this happening. Did anyone say, oh, no, don't worry, the banks will just give everyone 6 months mortgage holidays? Did anyone predict that would happen? So this is the thing. They're pulling out all stops. Ray White, Erkinsville selling agent Sean Stoker said the property attracted a broad mix of buyer types, including upgrading families, first home buyers, and downsizers. Why would a first home buyer be looking at a $1.4 million property, everyone? why, I guess, is that just Sydney, guys? Is that what you have to, the debt you have to take on for that? Oh, that scares me, honestly. If something were to go wrong, you know, even if you had decent income, what if you lose your job? What if something happens? What if the unforeseen happens? What if you get sick? There was no interest from investors, which is a consistent pattern in sales over recent weeks, Mr. Stoker said. The buyers were a family upgrading from a unit in Camperdown. A lot of families thought there would be a market crash because of the pandemic, but it hasn't happened yet. Well, it's because it's only just started, guys. We haven't had recession kick in. The government's propping everything up. And how much more? We've got another article where we're looking at housing grants, essentially, for everyone. The market is actually better than it was last year, just before the federal election. Back then, you'd be lucky to move to have more than one bidder. Home sellers were getting good results because there was little competition from other vendors, forcing home seekers to vie for the same properties. It takes a brave person to sell at the moment, but those who have gone ahead are being rewarded. Mr. Keenan said bidding at the Erkinsville auction and other recent sales was confidential and showed there was confidence, it should be confidential, and showed there was still buyers in the market ready to pounce on good properties. Well, there always will be. There always will be. There'll be people. I've got a mate, his whole advice is you save in the good times and you buy in the bad times. There'll be people sitting there with stacks of cash ready to jump. Ready to jump, you know. And I had a viewer contact me asking, you know, is now the time to buy? Is now the time to buy? And I mean, I'm probably the last person to be asking about that. And I might actually do a video on it because often we'll look for information and sources that kind of justifies where we want to go or justifies our opinion. And there's a few different cases. I mean, is property, here's the question, with the potential for the government, the Reserve Bank, to generate more money into the system, to pump it up, and with the Cantillon effect, is that going to artificially inflate the bubble in property? Are they going, now with a housing grant, were they going to bring more migration in? Will that just inflate the cost of property? I mean, if you're going to do anything, I would look for something that you can afford if everything hits the fan. If financially you're desperate, so you're not stretched at all. You want a mortgage you can pay back without even realizing it. A tiny percentage of your income. That would reduce your risk. And it all comes down to individual risk management strategies. And you can even, you can talk to professionals and they'll tell you all these things, but it just comes down to you understanding it and managing your risk. What do you reckon, everyone? So maybe the people buying that $1.5 million house, they've got so much income that risk is so minimal for them. You know, it's the same as someone else buying a $200,000 house. Although my gut instinct tells me it probably isn't. Some of the articles I've seen, people with a 35,000 combined 85 grand income for a couple buying a house nearly $1 million. That seems insane, everyone. Does that only seem insane to me, or does it? Am I the only one? Homeowners who were deliberating over whether to sell were better off listing now, Mr. Keenan said. I don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what the market will do, but it is strong at the moment. In the eastern suburbs, a 3-bedroom apartment roughly 20 minutes walk from Bondi Beach, sold for $1.3 million, 150 over reserve, attracting 13 registered bidders. The property on Andrews Ave had last sold in 87. Who cares? For 136. Yeah, okay. Was in a block requiring owners to pay $15,000 levy before moving in. No, well, that could be a lot worse, guys. That levy could be a lot worse. Just look at Mascot Towers. Look at Opal Towers. Selling agent Nick Leenan of McGrath Coogee said the $15,000 payment failed to deter buyers and competition was strong. Well, it wouldn't. 15 grand is nothing when you're looking at, what was it, 1.37 million? 6 of the registered bidders put in offers, and auctioneer James Hayashi got an opening bid of 1.1. The buyers were a couple planning to move from Melbourne and got a buyer's agent to bid on their behalf. Most of the bidders were professional couples who lived in the area and wanted to upsize out of a 2-bedroom unit, Mr. Leenan said. The apartment was well presented but had scope for renovation, which helped draw buyers. Comparable properties were selling for around 1.25 before the pandemic, he said. On the upper North Shore, a recently renovated 4-bedroom home in Watara Road in Taramara sold for 1.6, 515 higher than the 2019 price. The owners paid $1.12 million last April, and they did a cosmetic renovation, said seller David Walter of Ray White. While everyone is running and saying prices are down, we keep achieving great results. The price guide for the house is 1.5 to 1.6, and 100 groups inspected the house. There's been a lot more activity this week, so many people are out there looking. I think people are worried prices are going to shoot up, not down, as restrictions ease, and the time to sell is now, he said. So there you go, guys. What do you all think? What's your take on this? Are you rushing out to get there? Is it just the special and unique properties that are always going to have? Does it come back to the good old location, location, location? Is that what we're seeing here, everyone? I doubt that prices in the western suburbs in Sydney for spec homes are shooting up above reserve. I doubt all the units that had no price growth are shooting above reserve. What do you think? It's interesting, and honestly, maybe this is a good time for these owners in these properties to move them if they're going to consider. Because we haven't had a recession, none of these support mechanisms have been removed or reduced, so that may fill people with more confidence. And interest rates, the cash rate is so low right now. So low right now. And the Reserve Bank governor has said it's going to be like this for years. Maybe getting a 1.5 million isn't a bad thing. Maybe it just scares the bejeebers out of me. But then again, if we go negative interest rates, it could be the smartest thing you could ever do. Terrifying, isn't it? We definitely are in a clown world, everyone. Thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and you'd like to support the content I make here, there are a few ways you can. You can share the videos, help spread the channel. You can support us via YouTube or Patreon. You can use our affiliate links at Amazon or eBay or Independent Reserve and Kucoin. Use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us by buying our merch or from PayPal. Take care, guys. I'll see you in the next video.